business once flowed with ease and now feels offbeat, you're not falling behind. Your frequency has simply evolved beyond your old money rhythm. I'm Kirstin Carey, strategist, somatic sales mentor, and guide for wise women whose frequency has evolved beyond the business that they've built. And this podcast is where we shift resonance. We embody evolution and design business architectures that finally match who you've become. And today, we're closing out the 6-part money and pricing series by tuning into the cash flow frequency, the rhythm that keeps revenue moving steadily and keeps you lit up and resonating with your truest self. And over the last 5 episodes, we've explored how your frequency shapes your relationships with money, from the energetic roots of receiving to pricing that holds your worth, to selling from safety instead of scarcity, and anchoring abundance into your body. And now we're going to bring it all home. You're going to discover the 3 fields that create healthy, harmonious cash flow from your receiving energy, your revenue rhythm, and your wealth container. And when these 3 are attuned, money stops feeling unpredictable and starts moving in resonance with your body and your business. And when revenue becomes unpredictable, most women assume that they're doing something wrong. So you might start asking, what did I miss? Or did the algorithm change? Or is it me? And that mental spiral is what triggers the dysregulation in your system before you even open one spreadsheet of analytics. So you tighten up, you shut down your physical connection with what's really going on, and you push harder and you try to fix it with one more strategy. But inconsistency in cash flow isn't proof that you're bad at business. It's simply feedback that one of your money frequencies is out of tune. And maybe your receiving energy is constricted and you can't actually hold steady cash inflow. And maybe your revenue rhythm is irregular with big surges of efforts followed by long gaps of silence or crashing. Or maybe your wealth container is leaking through unclear systems, weak boundaries, or outdated payment structures. None of this means that you failed. It just means that your business is playing an old song that no longer matches your current frequency. And today, we're going to bring all of that back into rhythm. So let's drop in. Well, right now, the whole world kind of feels out of sync. The economy, politics, even the energy of the collective, it all feels a little unstable. And as a generator and an empath, even as the words economy and politics came out of my mouth, I could feel a resistance and like a clawing in the back of my throat. It's because that frequency, it's coming through the algorithm of my social media right now and conversations about the world in general. And I can feel how tired of being scared and in fear that people are, because most people feel like things are out of their control. So everyone's looking for something that finally makes them feel balanced and safe and makes sense so that they feel like they're in control again. So when your cash sales slow down or the flow of cash starts to wobble, it's easy to think that you just need another funnel or a new tactic so you feel like you're in control again. But what if the slowdown or the shift isn't a strategy issue at all? What if it's your nervous system whispering, or maybe it's not so quiet, that you're the one that's out of alignment? What if it's saying no more pushing, no more forcing, or using a system that was either never designed for you in the first place or is no longer designed for the woman that you've become and the woman that you're stepping into being? Now, I know that pattern well. I grew up proving. I learned early on that my father paid attention to ribbons and trophies and medals. And I thought that achievement equaled love. So I pitched tournament softball and I was an all-around gymnast. And I was a nationally ranked college debater. And later, I became a high-performing entrepreneur in consulting and coaching and real estate, restaurants, wellness centers. I used to think that I could outperform the imbalance through sheer will. I could prove and push and out-hustle my way to success. And maybe you've had that too. The feeling that you had something to prove, so you ignored the signs that you were in trouble and you pushed for the validation or the recognition. But that frequency, the one that looks like success from the outside and served us to a point, that frequency eventually broke me from the inside. It's what led me to a marriage where I was constantly trying to prove my worth, and it created emotional exhaustion, which I masked by grinding harder. And it eventually became the root cause of my autoimmune diseases and illnesses, and the symptoms of which I suppressed through pills and treatments and caffeine for years. And though I can't pinpoint exactly when the symptoms started because they were layered in gradually, I know they were there. It's kind of like that old parable about the boiling frog. If you put a frog into a pot of water that's already boiling, the frog's going to immediately jump out. But if you put a frog into a pot of room temperature water and you slowly raise the temperature of the pot, the frog will eventually boil to death because he didn't notice the water temperature rising until it was too late. And I have worked with enough women to know you can feel the water warming long before it boils. And even when you notice the temperature rising, you sometimes stop trusting that you can actually jump out. But it's never too late to get out, never. But the longer you wait, the harder it can feel to regulate. And for me, there was a point where the symptoms compiled and became too much. So I was ready to finally take action. And maybe you felt that too, when your body starts telling the truth, even though your mind refuses to say it out loud. And the tired that shows up and isn't fixed by sleep anymore. And the moments of anger and emptiness that make no sense to you. And the knowing that something is off because it's showing up in your hormones and your emotions and your bank account. But you just can't quite figure out why. And then one day, it finally occurred to me what those symptoms meant. They were the thermostat that was measuring the temperature of the conditions I was in, which were slowly boiling all around me. And the frequency that I used to reach my success was dysregulation. And it wasn't only costing me my health, but it was starting to cost my business too. And so my white knuckle approach to double down and push harder wasn't going to work anymore. And in my journey to find a comprehensive health solution, I was led to become a natural health practitioner, which is also how I discovered the next level of my business success. And when I reversed those conditions through nervous system regulation and personalized nutrition, I was then able to help hundreds of other women reverse their symptoms of dysfunction too. And then I finally understood what my body had been trying to tell me all along. Women were never designed to work through overly masculine structures. And when we operate from pressure and proof, and we do not flow with the naturally occurring feminine energy systems, the body shuts down, hormones crash, and money flow, which is a feminine energy, dries up. And then our businesses start reflecting that same dysregulated frequency. The fix isn't another launch plan. It's recalibrating resilience and growth and the way money moves through our systems. And I remember the exact moment I felt the shift from healing illness in my body to healing illness in my business. I was sitting at my desk, I was looking at a balance sheet for the month. And even though we had just had a successful 5-day launch, the profits were lower than what I expected, and the amount of work it took to create and deliver that launch felt so much harder this time. And now I had to go deliver the program to the new clients that we just enrolled, even though I was really exhausted. And then we were already preparing for the next launch to keep the cash flowing. It just felt like it was never ending. And then I felt the nausea of the overwhelm rising up in my body and a crushing feeling that was like pushing down from above, like I was about to drown. And I knew I could not do another launch like that again. And when I finally admitted that, I relaxed. I exhaled. And even though I didn't know how I was going to do it differently, at least I had made the decision that what I was doing, what had got me to where I actually was no longer the way forward. And then everything felt lighter and freer. Because my body wasn't just tired from the amount of work I was doing. It was tired from being panicked that I was ignoring the ability to be resilient, the skill that I had learned to heal my body from autoimmune. And it was warning me that I was slipping back into a familiar frequency of push and grind. And when I slowed down long enough to listen and I stopped resisting what I knew to be true, I realized my body wasn't sabotaging me. It was alerting me so I could recalibrate. And there was a reason that everything was feeling harder and why the cash wasn't flowing the way it should and the way that it once was. So I took a step back. I recognized the trauma response I was having, and I saw how it was impacting my business. And then I began to use the skills that I learned through healing my body to then heal the systems in my business, creating unnecessary work and grind. And once I got regulated again, what my business needed began to make sense because I was able to connect with what I now call the cash flow frequency. And when I look back now, I realized that what I was rebuilding wasn't just a business model. It was my definition of resilience itself. Women are unbelievably, incredibly resilient, but that word has been misconstrued over years of misuse. Today, resilience typically means proving how badly you can break yourself down and then force yourself to come back again. We celebrate stories of suffering and then rising from the ashes. And so the underlying message is, unless you're suffering, you can't succeed, which is not the truth of resilience. And so we create suffering and adversity in our lives and our businesses when there doesn't need to be any. So many women are in similar situations where they're suffering and about to be boiled to death, but they don't notice because things aren't bad enough yet. And then we celebrate how strong we are and how much we can put up with. But every single woman that I've worked with, once they were on the other side and they were in true resilience, they could then look back and clearly see when they had been in the muck of it all, that they actually knew that they were in trouble and on the wrong path. Now, in hindsight, there were signs that they ignored and they looked past. Or they said things like, well, I just didn't want to complain. Or I didn't feel like anybody would take me seriously. Or even worse, whatever they were experiencing, even if they did say something, someone would tell them, oh, that's normal. Everyone feels like that. And hopefully you hear this. Just because something is common and other people feel it doesn't mean it's normal or healthy. And when you're out of resonance, that's not normal or healthy, even if everyone around you is experiencing it. The healthy definition of resilience is the ability to move through and to grow from difficulties and challenges. It's a skill you develop over time from the lessons and experiences you absorb as you grow up and you face challenges, especially ones when you're in your intentional self. It's the ability to grow. It's a skill you develop. It's not a way to prove how much suffering you can take. And building this skill doesn't happen by accident. It's intentional. It's the point when your nervous system and your money system get back into the same rhythm and they vibrate together. It's like hearing completely different music notes all come together and create the perfect sound of harmony that you can feel in your soul. And once that happened for me, I started running my business from that healed state. I was able to clearly see where my default frequency of proving and performing was stifling my calendar and attracting difficult to work with clients. And with some tweaks and shifts in the structure of my offer, within 4 weeks, I was able to free up my calendar by 10 hours a week. And I raised, I kid you not, the price of my core offer by 600%. And then I hit back to back to back the highest income months I had ever had to that point. And then I was much more resourced emotionally and physically than I had felt in that business ever. And that is what I call stepping into the cash flow frequency. So let's talk about what the 3 areas of the cash flow frequencies are. The first frequency is the receiving energy. This is when you're able to open up your nervous system so that you can let money flow in without needing to create suffering to prove your worthiness. So you know that feeling when someone pays you in full and your body just relaxes and it sees the money coming in? That's open receiving. It's where you don't have to convince or objection handle or fight as they show you in so many sales structures. The conversation just flows easily and prospects show up resourceful and ready to move forward. And you're excited to help guide them to their next level of success. It feels effortless. And they even thank you for letting them into your ecosystem. It's a win-win all around. No guilt, no apologies. Everyone feels good. And the payment goes through and they get started. The second frequency is the revenue rhythm. This is the energy of letting your offer circulate in a steady, creative beat instead of one note that plays and stops and plays and stops. It's when you plan from an aligned space and your business starts breathing with you. And the way that people flow into your systems makes sense. There's a flow to it that feels good for your bank account and for your nervous system. So there's no mad rush to make money and no panic that there won't be enough to cover bills and payroll and all your other expenses. You just feel comfortable that everything you need will be there, and there's no reason to scramble or create a new offer or do an additional launch. The timing is rhythmic. And I can hear it in my clients' voices when they finally sink into their rhythm. You can literally see it on their faces and in their expressions and how they move. The calm certainty that money is coming. It's not hope, it's inevitability. And when you make decisions knowing the money will be there no matter what, you make smarter business decisions rather than decisions from fear. And I have a client who just raised her rates when everyone around her was lowering them or coming up with smaller core offers because they were in so much fear of what's going on in the economy right now. And her next offer sold out. So let's look at number 3, the frequency of wealth container. So building a balanced structure and holding solid boundaries around that structure, that will allow money to stay and serve you and your client and your team, and ultimately the energetic field around your business. So when you have the right connection with your wealth container, your business feels stable and you can feel that in your body and supported by your calendar, your bank account, and your team. You're saying yes to the clients that are a great match, and your marketing is filtering out the clients who no longer fit your business ascension. And when you look at your calendar, you're lit up by what you have scheduled and by the clients that you're supporting. You feel supported by your team, your funnels, and the systems you have in place. And these boundaries, they're not there just for your clients or your offers directly. They also could be in how you lead your team. I have a client who was constantly putting out fires, and she was stepping up all the time last minute because one team member or another was having some emergency, which caused them to miss an important deadline or some responsibility. My dog ate a sponge and I have to go to the vet. The internet is down because of a hurricane. My husband threw out his back. Now, these were all things she had heard in 1 week from her team. And separately, each of these issues is a real life issue, which is usually understandable when they aren't constantly happening. And when you start to see a common thread like this, and you're always getting pulled into an emergency issue and supporting the people who are there to support you, you have to start asking yourself, have I created an unstable container? Do I have dysregulated boundaries that are allowing these situations to destabilize my business? And once this client of mine established clearer boundaries and priorities within her business container, the regularity of the emergencies stopped. And her team, who was there to support her, became more resourceful to manage the emergencies in their lives so they didn't regularly impact the business. And when these 3 fields, the receiving energy, the revenue rhythm, and your wealth container, when they're aligned, your body feels regulated. Your business breathes with you, and cash flow returns to a beautiful harmony. No grinding or suffering required. And when you move into this frequency where they're all aligned, you move away from chasing and into magnetizing. And even as I say this to you right now, I can feel my breath deepen and my shoulders are dropping. My chest feels more expansive. And that's happening because my body is resonating with what it feels like when I step into a regulated frequency and I allow myself to make decisions from a place of truth, balance, and safety. And maybe you too are feeling more regulated right now because you're syncing with that tone and regulating your rhythm as I resonate with this part of the story. And you can think of it as like an orchestra. Your nervous system is the conductor and your offers are the instruments. When one section is offbeat, like your pricing, your delivery, or your boundaries, the entire symphony wobbles and the audience can feel that. But when everyone is on the same beat, your business hums and everything, your team, your clients, the money, it all moves together at the same time synergistically. And when you have the right tune to guide you, your body can fall into that sync. You don't have to learn how to play all of the notes and all the instruments all by yourself to experience that regulation. And this is what connected cash flow feels like, not rush, not resistance, and clearly not force, just harmony. Now, I used to chase numbers as proof I was doing what I was doing and it was the right thing to do. Now I just feel the cadence to know when I'm regulated and when I'm not. And if you step into this new era of your wise woman journey, you must find your money rhythm where money moves with you and will rise and fall with you like breath. Your business doesn't need more push. It needs your connected presence so that you can tune into your cash flow frequency. And you don't have to recreate the wheel or burn down the business or create an entirely new strategy. Most women are much closer to the right cash flow frequency that will set them free than they realize. But old conditioning or a hidden belief is keeping them from stepping into it. And if you're feeling the pull to recalibrate your own rhythm, that's your system saying it's ready. Inside Effortless Sales Flow, we refine this exact harmony, not by working harder, but by attuning more deeply. So if you want to move forward quickly, book a conversation with me. The link is in the show notes. And if you want to shake out a few of the concepts we've been talking about in this entire series, then download the Frequency of Yes Money Map right now. That link is also in the show notes. It's a diagnostic tool I created for women like you, the founders who don't need another funnel or challenge or social media strategy. But you want to see clearly where your energy and your money are in harmony and where the field is dysregulated. So as you move through it, you'll be able to see whether your receiving energy, your revenue rhythm, or your wealth container needs some attention. And you'll walk away knowing where your cash flow frequency is off. And even better, if you bring what comes from doing that money map process with you to the call with me, we'll be able to break down your business even more quickly so that we can create a clear strategy for you to step totally into your most delicious frequency. And even as I talk about doing that, I can feel the frequency that lights me up the most, which is when I get to work with brilliant women to up-level themselves and ultimately their businesses, because I know how many other people that will impact in the most amazing way. So right now, let's do this. If you put a name to the rhythm your business has been in lately, what would you call it? Would you call it sprinting or stumbling, dancing, boiling? This week, what I want you to do is I want you to notice the rhythm that you're in. Don't try to do anything to fix it. Just bring awareness to it. And as that awareness surfaces, I want you to take an additional moment to notice how your body feels in that moment. Are you present with it? Can you name how you're feeling physically? Like, what sensations are you experiencing? Are you hot? Are you cold? Do you feel a tightening of anxiety in your lower back or your chest? Or maybe a heaviness of frustration because you can't figure it out? Once you name it and you get connected with it, I want you to get curious. What would it feel like if you had more freedom through a business which is sustainable financially and doesn't drain you in the process? Maybe this whole money and pricing series stirred up some things that you didn't expect. Maybe you saw how much of your business was built from proving and pushing or survival. And maybe you also started to feel what's possible when you run it from a resonant space. Over these 6 episodes, we've traveled the full arc of your relationship with money. You've learned how to root wealth into energetic safety, price in alignment with your value, and sell from an embodied confidence, and open up the space for more money to move through you and flow to you, not control you. And now, with the cash flow frequency, you have the full picture on how money breathes with you through receiving energy, revenue rhythm, and the wealth container that lets it stay. You don't have to chase stability anymore. You create it by staying in rhythm with who you are and who you are now. And if this frequency has shifted something for you, share it with another woman who's ready to step out of scarcity and back into resonance. We ascend so much faster when we support others around us to rise too. So make sure you're subscribed. Don't miss what comes next. I will see you on the next episode.